All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk, where we talk about what you're thinking about. And in honor of National Women's Friendship Day, I have invited two of my favorite people, Miss Jamie and Miss Jessie, and we're going to let them introduce themselves, and then we will get started talking about their very special friendship. So which one is older? Which one of you is older? Okay, well, then we'll let the baby go. We'll let Jamie go.
No, you tricked me.
So introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do in your off time when you're not just being fabulous? What else do you do?
My name is Jamie Stewart. I work in higher education. I'm an admissions representative. And in my free time, I do a lot of theater stuff. I work as the costumes chair at Showtimers Community Theater. I also do a lot of on stage stuff with them, and I am on the board for V-Day Roanoke.
Thank you. Jessie.
I'm Jessie. I use she, they pronouns. I am a director of lifespan faith development and a Shakespeare educator. I do a lot of my Shakespeare education online. So I get students, like right now I have a student from Thailand. It's really fun. And in my free time, I nerd out basically, like tabletop role-playing games or theater stuff with Jamie.
Yeah.
You name it, I'll try it.
I love it. I love it. I met these fabulous people because I thought I want to act. Let's try that for the second act of my life. And true story, I played the angry vagina in Jamie's in Vagina Monologues. And I'm like, Jamie, I can't say those things on stage. And I thought, that's it. I'm fired. I have ended my theater career. She goes, no, sugar, I got you. We're going to figure this out. So she made some very sweet changes, and it was awesome. And so now I'm a theater nerd myself. So I hear you guys
creatively navigate those curse words.
Somehow it just came out. So what I love about watching you two, and reason I asked you two, is as a contrast to me and my besties. So older Black women. I said, I know some white people. Let's do that. And I really like them. But one of the things I think is so dear is you guys you'll have like one word or almost like a special language, and then just both be falling out of your chairs. Remember the time? So obviously you guys have been friends a long time. So talk to me about that. How long have you been friends?
We've been friends since 2001. So
Okay.
The math is pretty easy, but also terrifying.
Wow. Jessie, had you really thought about 20 years?
I don't even know how old I am half the time. So I'm the wrong person to ask that question. Like everything feels like yesterday and 500 years ago. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Is it COVID or is it just the way you are?
It's just the way I am.
Oh.
I got into an actual fight one time about how old I am, and I was wrong, and so was my mother. And
oh my God.
My sister had to step in. I'm pretty sure Jamie has witnessed some arguments like that and probably mitigated them because I never know how old I am.
I love that. I'm starting to be in denial. Our friendship that I talked about earlier, 40 years. We're in our 40th year of friendship, and that's just amazing to me. Geritol, menopause, the whole thing. So how did you guys connect?
I was a brand new student at the University of New Orleans. I had transferred there from the University of South Carolina, and I walked into the green room. We have a very loud and boisterous friend. I know that's probably surprising, named Alexis, who found me in the English department. I thought I was going to be I don't know what I thought I was going to be, maybe a poet. I don't know. I'd left an opera program and I was like, I'm going to be a recluse. And Alexis beelined to me and said, you're coming with me, drug me into the green room. And Jamie was asleep in the green room. And did we wake you up, Jamie? What was the next step?
I don't know. Waking me up is real hard. So you probably didn't. What I remember is coloring the posters for the 24-hour contest.
That's definitely where we bonded. I think I saw you for the first time when you were asleep in the green room, Sleeping Beauty. And we did every year, Dina, we did a 24-hour play festival where we got the topic. It's very similar to a lot of things that are out right now. We called it Theater in the Raw, and it was one of the first ones after, like, when this whole fad started.
Yeah.
We got our topic on Friday night. The playwrights sequestered themselves. We cleaned the theater. I really think that's why they let us do it, is because we cleaned the theaters. Let's be real. If you've got a lot of students doing something, let them.
Yeah, it was all a con job. Way to go, UNO.
But then we would do the plays on Saturday night. And I think the first time, Jamie, you were in a show, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
But we had to hand color all the posters because aforementioned Alexis made black and white copies because that was free. Yeah. And then we colored them by hand.
I adore that. Now, were you guys off book, or did you have scripts with you for the Saturday night show?
It's off book.
We memorized.
In 10 minutes. They were 10-minute shows.
They were short.
Oh.
But we had to memorize everything in, like 6 hours, because it took them that long to write the shows, then rehearse them, and then perform them. So we had like 6 hours to get off book. But in our downtime, and me being a theater major, when you're a theater major in college, I'm sure a lot of people out there relate, you go to class all day and then rehearse all night.
Yeah.
So my only sleep time was 4 hours at night and then a nap between classes.
Yeah.
Nasty green room couches.
Well, you guys can't hear it, but my heart is pounding out of my chest because the thought of being off book in less than a day just makes I'm sweating. Oh my God.
If you ask me to do it, it's like something only an 18-year-old brain can really do.
And I got this, right? You had to have some bravado. Yeah.
I would never be able to do it now.
Yeah, no.
What, Jessie?
I couldn't even do it. I was the first time I did it, I was like the production manager.
Oh.
And did some lighting design. Second time I did it, I was stage man. I was frequently like the stage man. We had gurus. So like the playwriting guru was a grad student who was at the school for playwriting. So we had all these gurus, and I was usually the stage management guru. So I'm teaching people how to stage manage, but then I'm managing all the stage managers, and Lord forbid they step out of line, because it was just like one tiny thing would be a domino effect, and then the world would fall apart.
We were also sleep deprived and over caffeinated. So it was just,
and you were kids. You were babies, in my opinion. You were babies.
And Jessie and I forged an entire friendship around meeting and coloring posters.
What do you think that was about, Jamie? What do you think that made that the beginning of a 20-year journey of friendship? What do you think that was about? How'd that happen?
I really I don't know. I think it was one of those things. It's like when you meet that kindred spirit, because we had a lot of other mutual friends in college that we still keep in touch with and are still very close to, emotionally, not so much physically anymore. But I don't know. Jessie and I, we met that day, that was the beginning of our friendship. Mm-hmm. And then we're virtually inseparable for a very long time. It literally took a hurricane to separate the two of us.
And to which hurricane are you referring?
Katrina.
Yeah. So now you have to say where you're from. Where did you guys bond? And Jessie, you mentioned it. So we're talking.
Yeah, I grew up in New Orleans. So when Jessie came there for school, she was like the fish out of water in a new place. Yeah. My whole entire family was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I made this friend in college, and then suddenly it was like, I'm going to go have dinner at my grandparents. You want to come? And Jessie just became the other kid.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jessie, does that sound like kind of what you remember? Not exactly sure why, but it just clicked. It just worked.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that we just, I can remember vaguely things just working. So we parked at the table and started coloring, and we developed a system. I think Jamie and I system very similarly. So, and we know we intuited each other's strengths. Huh. So it's very easy for us. We're both very organized in our ways. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we intuit and we complement really well.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have our moments where like Jamie broke her ankle and I shoved her on the ground, but we have those moments, but usually we're just symbiotic.
Mhm.
So, and I think that that's why we work so well together, because if we were the same person,
Yeah.
I think that we would, because we are such big personalities, I think that would clash a little bit.
Yeah.
But we just are symbiotic, and what she's great at, sometimes I struggle with, like our age. But most of the time, what she's great at, I struggle with. What she struggles with, I'm good at. So we complement each other really, really well.
Jessie, go back a sec because the camera glitched just for a second. You said what she's really good at, and then it glitched and came back. What were you saying that she was really good at?
What she's great at, I struggle with sometimes. Okay. And then what she struggles with, I can pick up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's something that, and we speak the same language, which is intuitive.
Yeah, I think that is so cool.
What she's not saying is what I'm not great at, she's great at. She's saying that I'm great at things, but she's not great at things. And that's what I'm good at, is calling her out on her nonsense.
That's something that we watch, those of us who are in your orbit. We get to watch that. That's fun. That's so much fun. Because it's like, is there going to be a fight? I don't
No.
Yeah. And that I after a couple of years now, of course, I know that one. So I just want you to know that I saw that in you all and I loved it. And so when I pitched the idea to the folks at SARA, I said, I really want to get these two on camera. So there's no struggle then, because Jamie, when I met you, you directed us, this whole motley crew. And so there's no struggle when it sounds like when you're the director, Jessie just kind of goes with that. But what I watched was that Jessie had a lot of really good ideas too, and you could hear them. So that was really kind of cool to watch. I mean, it was my first experience on a stage in 1,000 years. So I loved that there was no ego. There was just kind of, we're doing this to make it a suggestion, but I never saw you like overstep. And I never saw you go, hi, I'm the director. Which I thought was, yeah.
I think that's one thing that comes from being friends for a really long time. Like we really do work together, especially coming from a background where like we both know each other. We know what each other's strengths are. I know when she is bringing an idea to the table, it's something thought out. It's something well planned.
Yeah.
And we have a very similar, like we've both worked in our fields for a very long time. And we just work really well with a lot of mutual respect for one another.
I love that. I love that. One of the things I was doing a little bit of research because I had to write an article about women's friendships. And sometimes they are perceived as messy and dramatic. And I think women who have been friends for a long time, they're not seeing that. The longevity, I think, to me, speaks to there being a lack of drama and a lack of messiness. So what do you think makes a 20-year relationship? What do you attribute that to? I hear, mutuality, mutual respect, but you guys are not the same person. So how did you guys navigate it when other people didn't make the cut? Jessie, how is it that Jamie's a 20-year friend and some people, they just didn't make the cut?
So, and this harkens back to like all my women's history classes.
Yeah.
The way that women, and this is all women, the way that women communicate is very trouble talky. And the difference of Jamie from my other friends, and I do have some other people that have that longevity, but what works is that we never take each other's troubles. Like the point of trouble talking is to word vomit. And if I need, and Jamie will stop me and say, okay, are we solution focused? What's going on here? Are you just venting? Because I can just take that and throw it away for you. And I do the same for her. Like, what are we doing with what's in this bowl?
Yep. Are you venting or do you want me to fix it?
Right.
That's
And if we
awesome.
are going to be solution focused, then we're going to be solution focused. And I think that we also approach disagreements similarly because we want to, if like the only time I can actually recall us like disagreeing was we hadn't slept for like 2 weeks and we fought over whether a Spanish band should cover an Italian song. Like that is, do you remember that, Jamie?
Yes. And that's
Like,
when
it
you were
was
also
a
like,
fight,
stop making me listen to Portishead. I hate this band.
we fought hard over that one tiny
Oh,
thing. And but it was also like all the emotions, all the everything of being in rehearsal for different shows, being unhappy with the professorship, which was okay, if y'all hear it, there's like some wild vibration noise in my apartment right now. It's not mine.
okay.
It's not what you think.
Okay.
But but I don't know if y'all hear it. I can't stop it.
Just let us know if you're okay. That's what we're concerned
I'm
about.
fine.
Right,
I
if the
think
building
that
starts to collapse, let us know. We'll hang up the Zoom
We will
call.
be solution oriented.
if the building collapses, you should be solution focused for that. Just come over.
Focus. That's right.
We'll fix it.
But I don't even know what I was saying before like that wild noise started.
You were talking about the only time you just really had a disagreement.
Oh yeah.
Sleep deprivation and unhappiness and
it really wasn't. I mean, we were constantly together in a studio apartment. It wasn't even a one bedroom. It was just a giant room. If
I'm
we
pretty sure
wanted to
Jamie
see
had a
one
broken
another, we had
ankle
to
at
lock
the time,
ourselves in the bathroom.
so say, wait a minute. So this is the broken ankle time too?
I'm pretty sure because she stayed. So I had a studio apartment on campus when I first moved there, and Jamie broke her ankle. So it was a third floor apartment. So she was like butt scooting up these concrete stairs to get to my apartment. Another thing about like theater, music, any arts degree, you're getting 3 hours a week of class time for 1 credit. So in order to make that full-time class load, like this is really, I could go into it on the education system and how it needs to be overhauled, but we were we were spending, 4 to 5 hours a week for 1 credit hour, and we're trying to make 18 credit hours in that system. So we were wholly exhausted, not to mention we were doing things for fun too. Like we weren't just isolated with schoolwork in this tiny apartment. So we would have fought about anything at that point. Like if something fell on the floor, it would have been a fight.
We were all hopped up on Boone's Farm and Red Bull.
Well, yeah, of course you were.
He's Boone Farm. Boone's Farm.
Wow.
Boone. I said it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now I have lost my train of thought.
I'm good for that.
We broke Dina.
Oh no.
I don't know where we were going.
But yeah, like to your question about how women's friendships are perceived.
Yes.
I agree. That is the bulk of what you see about female friendships is the cattiness and the just belittling, bickering kind of thing. But especially my adult friendships, like the friends that I have made post 18 years old have been some really just supportive, mature friendships. And like it is one of those things, like you get a bunch of women together and they can talk to one another in just the most straightforward and also caring way possible and get some real shit done.
Yeah.
That you watch like a group of guys trying to collaborate together and there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of fighting, and you don't find that as much with women. So I think that the perception of what female friendships are really like has a lot of societal influence. It's not necessarily the case. I've met a lot of really nice women. I've made some great friends in the line of a bathroom book club.
Yeah. I love that.
So like women's friendships are just like any friendship. They can be kind of catty and awful, but when it's a real friend, it's a solid bond.
Yeah. And I think making women's friendships look catty and messy is bankable. I mean,
Mhm.
it sells, it sells. And yet I think that, I mean, biology says that women are more interested in community,
Yeah.
and men are more interested in competition. And I know that's broad, gross generalization, but we wanted to make sure everybody's okay. That kind of tending and friending thing that we do, tending and there's something else anyway, is different than posturing to see who's on top, you know.
Right.
And I agree. I think that, and I don't think that I think if you have friends who are immature, they're not going to make the cut. They're not going to make the 20-year mark, and they're going to be just messy. And there are people like that. That's real. But I think that they may perpetuate some of those stereotypes too. I can't bond with women.
Right.
Women are messy, you know. Yeah, right, because you're messy. But it seems like you two as individuals are, I love that. Even the way that you talked about how organized you are in your own ways, that's even how you discuss things is in an organized fashion. What are we doing? How are we doing this? And I think that's priceless, because you know, I'm not fixing this, I'm just listening. And I think that's beautiful. So what's your
Yeah.
favorite thing about Jamie, Miss Jessie? How is that? Favorite thing?
Favorite thing about Jamie. Gosh, that's hard.
No, say it.
Don't do it, girl.
I really think that my favorite thing about Jamie is just that she can intuit what I'm saying. And I think that has really stood out when we're talking about, we're talking about friendship between women. And I am, I've been on this journey with my gender, and I will freely admit that, and anybody who had a ticket to last year's, Raise the Vibration and saw my monologue, self-promotion. I don't identify as fully woman. Female and male are tricky words to use to begin with. And I was socialized certainly as woman adjacent, but I didn't have the societal pressure to be a woman until I was an adult. And then it's like perform as a woman. And Jamie has been there beside me saying that's not required from day one. Like, I don't want to wear heels. In college, I don't want to wear heels. Why do you have to wear heels? Yeah. Can I just wear these Chuck Taylors? Yes. Can I wear this skirt that shows my booty? Well, let's consider that choice. But Jamie wasn't always. Sometimes Jamie was like, girl, your butt. But we've all
had to have that conversation. Right. It's okay.
Yes, sometimes. But
Jamie, if people love you, they have the conversation.
Oh yeah, and Jamie loves me a lot because we've had that conversation many times. But Jamie's let me play in, I don't want to say let, but Jamie has encouraged me to play with gender and really discover myself, which is, even when, is it appropriate for me to put these pronouns down? Why wouldn't it be? Was Jamie's response. So where I have the people who've been with me since birth, who this is sometimes hard for them, like Jamie's that sister that understands. Not that my sister wouldn't, but Jamie has always promoted self-knowledge and self-awareness. And it's interesting because my sister is the body positive fitness coach. So like I have the best coaching team in my life right here in my two sisters. And then Jamie, I get to pick on.
Oh, I love that so much. Jamie, would you like a tissue? I love that. I love that.
They're in the blur.
Yeah, in the blur. Your turn. What is your favorite thing about Jessie?
I hands down, and I tell her this very often, Jessie is down to do any ridiculous thing I ask her to do. Will you drive to Martinsville with me to pick up this bar cabinet that I want? Yes. Will you go to Goodwill with me to find costumes and then buy this chair that I force you to buy because I think it's going to look really nice in your apartment? Yes. Will you please be in this show with me? Will you play live music in this show that I'm producing? Yes, yes. She will do basically whatever.
I love it. I love it.
But like within reason. There's things that I'm like, hey, do you want to come over and play board games? And she's like, no, I hate board games. I'll come
I
over and
sure
drink.
do.
I'll come over
Yeah.
and drink and watch you play board games, but I'm not playing board games. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that's very much like we both, there's no hurt feelings. I think like in a 20-year friendship, you start to know these are the things that my friend will be okay with doing and my friend can give me advice on. And you know, like this is where we stand with one another. And
Right.
there's no pressure to be somebody that you're not or do something that you really don't want to do. And that sort of just understanding with one another has made us who we are as friends.
Yeah.
That
I love that.
boo
Yeah.
is our philosophy for friendship.
Right.
Say
Yeah.
that again?
And I will say that neither of us shies away from extending the invitation, even if we know it's going to be a no. Like Jamie said with the board games.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have booze with these board games, I'm not coming because I
Yeah,
don't play
for
board
what?
games.
Yeah.
But we still extend the invitation. So holding that space, I think, is really where we thrive.
Yeah.
And we do it outside of our friendship too. We've developed that trust and that safety with each other to not have our feelings hurt if we're invited and don't want to go. Like there's people who have this weird guilt thing with each other. And I'll
Right.
sometimes feel that way with other people, but we give each other permission to say no while still holding that space. And there's always an empty chair at our table
Yeah.
for each other, but we
Yeah.
don't always have to fill it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And it sounds like space and acceptance and inclusion is kind of what makes the alchemy, chemistry, Jessie, Jamie soup work. It's just, it just kind of flows and there's lots of space for that. And I think that sometimes people mess up because they're too rigid in with their bubbles, with their friends. And so there is no, it's hard to flow because you're too anchored to what you think rather than just flowing and letting the other person have that space. And I think that's beautiful because we all hit spaces, Jessie, where there's something we got to try on or try out. And how much better to do that and be healthy than with a person who can say, okay, I got you all day.
Or wash your face. Stop
Yeah.
playing with makeup, wash your face. I'm not taking you out in public like that. Jamie does that too.
How come I know that? She's hilarious to me. I adore you guys both so much. So anything else? I think you've given me some things to think about. I wish I had asked my friends some different questions now, but it was cool. It was cool. So what else? What do you think for people who are struggling with this COVID isolation and are missing connection and friendship? Any words of wisdom?
Don't.
See, there you go.
All right. I would say don't put those media expectations on the friendship. Like even now we have these YouTube channels, these things that are telling us what it's supposed to look like.
Wow. Yeah.
Before Jamie and I lived, that 12 years that we lived apart, we might not have talked but like once a month. And it was through delayed voicemails.
Yeah.
Because we were busy people. We were living our lives. There were some times that Jamie took a bus to see me after Katrina in South Carolina. And then there were other times that we just didn't connect because I lived at a camp in the middle of nowhere in Indiana. So
you were in Indiana when Katrina hit? Is that?
Oh Lord. I worked at summer camps for 15 years. So
Okay.
the basics of summer camp is if you want to move up, you have to move out because everybody had sweet digs on camp.
Had what?
Had really nice houses. Really nice houses. Sweet digs.
Sweet digs. I'm sorry, I heard something.
No. Oh Lord. Oh no. It was a Catholic camp, Dina.
Okay, I'm sorry. My blood sugar's low.
Oh,
okay, so that's okay.
So I lived all over.
Gap, where were you when you guys were not together?
So when Katrina hit, we were both in New Orleans.
Okay.
When the chaos happened, we evacuated to Arkansas. And I was in Arkansas, then I was in Texas, then I was in Lafayette, Louisiana, then I was back in New Orleans living on a cruise ship for 6 months. And then I found like an actual apartment to live in with my no stuff.
With your what?
Jessie, with my no stuff. I had nothing. I lived out of a bag. I was like, here's this apartment and I'll just hang up this shirt.
Here we go.
Right. Jessie went from her apartment in New Orleans, Katrina, moved in with her grandparents in South Carolina. She was
I was
living
with my mother and 4 dogs in my grandparents' basement. You want to talk
like a
about
whole mess of cats. You like cats too.
The cats were indoor outdoor, and half the cats already lived there. My grandfather wanted barn cats, but he didn't have a barn. Just it's a whole thing. But carport cats, driveway cats. They were woods cats.
Gotcha.
But so my grandparents lived upstairs. My mom and I lived in the basement, which was a true test. And I had like 1 semester left of school. So then I had to do 2 semesters at the University of South Carolina, Aiken, to finish my degree. So I went kind of full circle. But then after that, I was a professional, a camping professional. So I moved to Indiana, then Georgia, then New Jersey, then here.
Wow.
So it was kind of an all over the place because summer camping, the nature of it is transient. So they house you, they feed you, and sometimes you're there in the summer, sometimes you're not there at all. So it was just like kind of an all over the place thing. Settled here.
And by the way, they were in Roanoke, guys. I didn't say that originally. Yeah. So you settled here, and then Jamie, did you come then?
So Jessie, you moved here, and then how many years later?
2013 was when I moved here, and then like 5 years later.
Okay.
Because I made attention.
Yeah, we moved here. So in like 2017, I had just got married, and my husband and I were talking about wanting to move away. Like both of us had lived our entire lives in the New Orleans metro area. We were like, hurricanes, crime, expensive apartments, let's move.
Yeah.
And we started looking at other places, and we knew we wanted to move someplace that was, really, really liberal and fit with our lifestyle and values. And we looked into like Portland. We were looking at like Asheville, and Jessie was like, pump the brakes, come to Roanoke.
Because you can afford it.
She was like, just come here on vacation. It's like a cheaper version of Asheville. And I was like, okay. So we came here on vacation in November of 2017. By January of 2018, we had signed a lease and moved.
Wow. Yes, I met you not too long after you'd moved then. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm thinking I did my first play in September of 2018. And
February of 2019, you were doing a show with me.
That's right. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I don't know how much time we have I just will record all night because you guys are hilarious. But so I love what you said. Jamie, take us out with, if people are struggling with friendships because of the isolation and fear and stuff, what would your advice be for connecting, deep connection with people?
I think like really embrace your middle school self and call one of your friends on the phone and just talk for like 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh,
there have been so many times when I'm like, even living here, when Jessie and I just need a process, and you can't do that through a text conversation, and you just have to go lock yourself in the bedroom and talk to your best friend on the phone for 3 hours.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you guys so much. That's perfect. That is so perfect. Let go of the expectation of what the media is telling us. Pick up the phone and call a friend. I'm with that. I love it. Thank you guys so much. You guys just make me laugh. You make my heart happy. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.